you need to be loving the Lord and really learning what that looks like and teach your kids how to love the Lord. And that's not always going to be because you found the perfect math curriculum or writing
Right.
curriculum. Like that's important, but your kids' hearts are more important.
Your first point, of course, is start with the end in mind and
Start
know
the
why you're doing this. Why are you homeschooling? What is your purpose in doing this?
Yeah.
So what would be your next thing? Now, once parents have figured out, okay, here's our why. We know what we're doing. We know that we're called to disciple our kids and to teach them the ways of the Lord. But then they're like, but what next? What do we do now?
What next? Well, honestly, I mean, if you want to get practical, your next thing is to figure out what your state laws are. So if you have a
Mhm.
child, because I'll meet people that are like, I have a 3-year-old, I want to homeschool. And it's like, well, absolutely, teach your kid whatever you want, but pretty much every state does not require you to register a 3-year-old. So you don't have to
Right.
officially homeschool. And in the state of California, I'm very familiar with our homeschool laws here. Like, we're not even required to start homeschooling until our child is age 6 as of September 1st. So, there's some of those types of things, but knowing your state laws is really important. And that is as easy as going to HSLDA, which is Homeschool Legal Defense Association. So if you go to HSLDA, there's some Christian, or not just Christianese, some homeschoolese for you. But they have a list of all that you need as far as how to get homeschooling in your state. And so that's probably the practically, figure
Mhm.
out your why, pray about it, and then contact HSLDA. And we're lifetime members because we did the
Yeah.
math. When we
So are
started
we.
figuring out, we're like, okay, yep, might as well pay the lifetime membership. And we love supporting them as well. But they have all the information about how to get started. So in California, we homeschool under a private school affidavit. So we actually aren't even part of any other kind of a school system. We're part of the private school system. So a lot of people don't know that. In fact, fun fact is that California is one of the easier states to homeschool in, which is shocking for everyone.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think it's because we're under the umbrella of private schools. So it's really saved us a lot of headache as they
Yeah.
continue to make all of these fun changes in our public schools. I mean, some of the curriculum they have, for the longest time, parents in my area were like, oh, that doesn't come here. We're such a conservative part of California. It's everywhere. And even
Yeah.
our church has gotten involved. We're going to school board meetings and begging them to stop
Mm.
teaching sex education to kindergartners. And
Wow.
the content that is in these are pornographic.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy for any child. I mean, they're sexualizing our children at such a young age. So
Yeah.
again, it goes back to that why. I mean, if I were just starting off, if I had a child getting ready to be in the school system, my why would look a lot different now than it did when I
Right.
started. Like I think discipleship. I want my kids to have a Christian worldview. That's
Yeah.
what's most important to me, is that they understand. I want them to love the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and develop a
Yeah.
love for learning. And those are really our two goals. And really, if they come out with nothing more than just to love the Lord and they hated every aspect of learning, they're not going to love it anymore in public school. But you know
Yeah.
what? That's my job as a parent, is to introduce them all that I can. And the hardest part, now that I have 2 young adults, again, you may not be thinking this if you're just starting out or have kids under the age of 18, but your kids get to make their own decision on whether or
Yeah.
not to follow the Lord. And it's our job to present all that we can to give them as much love and to shine for Jesus. And in fact, one thing I'd like to remind myself about that Deuteronomy verse, Deuteronomy 6, is that what it says is that we're to put these in our own heart first.
Amen.
And
Yep.
then we're to impress them onto our kids. So you need to be loving the Lord and really learning what that looks like and teach your kids how to love the Lord. And that's not always going to be because you found the perfect math curriculum or writing
Right.
curriculum. Like that's important, but your kids' hearts are more important. And what's
Yeah.
happening right now is our kids are being thrown into a Babylon. So that's really the dynamic that we have. And we probably have had that for a long time and we just haven't seen it until
It
COVID
just
hit.
wasn't as
Yeah.
obvious. Yeah.
Oh, no. And now it's like, I mean, it's crazy to see how revealing they are. I mean, satanic groups are
Yeah.
literally like, oh, yeah, we're out here. We're for this. And we're like,
Oh, yeah.
right, exactly. So that's what it comes down to the heart of your child. And I like to think about like when Daniel and, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were all taken out, like the Israelites were were taken captive. And you have I don't remember the number, but I believe it was millions of Israelite children were being taken away from their homeland, and they were being thrown into Babylon, being taught all the cultural things, being educated in the Babylonian style of education, which was very, it's anti-God. Like they believe in multiple gods and all kinds of crazy stuff. And yet at the end of the day, there were only 4 Israelite kids that we hear that stood up for the Lord. And so that's what's important, is that we have to give our kids a firm foundation. And yes, the Lord will totally work. And yes, the Lord, I mean, I was 15 and living in a dysfunctional Christian family when the Lord really gripped my heart. And he can do that for anyone. But, I love that I can give my kids this foundation, and that, the Lord's still going to be at work, but I don't want them in a Babylon environment. So that's my little 2 cents on that, is that I just think we are in a different day and age now. And I think if it takes every ounce of your energy, you've got to do it. You've got to protect your children.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.